Hi, everyone, and welcome to Mystery Mingle. I'm so excited because we have Jen Pitts with us today.
Hello, glad to be here.
Yeah, so excited. So, why don't you just tell us a little bit about you and where you're from and like cats, dogs, chocolate, maybe, I don't know.
So I am Jen Pitts. I started publishing Cozy Mysteries in March of 2020. Yes, right when COVID hit. But it was good. It kept me at home working on books. So I write two series right now. One is called The French Quarter Mysteries, and it is traditional cozies, contemporary cozies. Takes place all in New Orleans. And then my second series is The Witches of the French Quarter, and that is a cozy paranormal, again, set in the French Quarter because I love New Orleans. No, I have not lived there ever. Everyone always thinks I have, but maybe one day when the kids have flown the coop. So that brings me, I have two kids. One's in college and one's in high school, and I have a husband, and I have two cats, Dipper and Mabel, who think they're helping me write all the time. So, but they're very popular on my Facebook page and on my Instagram. So I think people come to see them as opposed to me, and that's okay.
All right. And are you a coffee or a tea drinker?
Coffee all the way.
Oh,
Yeah.
all right.
I wish I liked tea. I just can't get into it. So I am a
I
oat
like
milk,
tea.
not that latte.
Oh, yeah. I like tea,
Oat
but
milk.
I don't really like coffee, but I love lattes. Like I could just live on lattes for the rest of my life.
It's just a little bit of espresso in it, then you get whatever milk as you do
Yeah,
oat milk. So yeah,
basically just a sugar drink.
basically yes.
Yeah. So fun fact, all of Jen's covers are done by my friend Molly. We were just talking about that. Yeah.
Love Molly. She is amazing. Gosh, when she got me my first, I hired her and I gave her ideas for the first cover. She knocked it out of the park. I had her change, I think, one thing from it. And from there on, it's just such an easy relationship. And when she did my new series, the first book is Mardi Gras Magic. And I was like, this is completely different because I want this and this. And she knocked it out. Again, I think I had her take out one thing and that was it. So she's
Yeah.
so easy to work with. And I really think it sets such a great tone and expectation for my
Mhm.
books.
Yeah, it's nice because I don't have to give any direction, and I'm just like, oh, I basically just complained to her. I'm like, I hate this cover, I hate that cover, so I don't want those, but I don't know what I want. And she does like a great job just kind of figuring it out.
I think she must be part like psychologist, therapist or something. She just seems to get in there and know what you mean even when you don't know. So.
Yeah, exactly. So we're here today to talk about your new book, and I don't want to get this wrong. So Red Beans and Rituals, which is book 2, and The Witches of the French Quarter Mysteries, which is obviously the paranormal, not the contemporary.
Exactly. Yes.
So tell us about the book.
Yeah, it's exciting. So it's the second book in the series. In the first book, Mardi Gras Magic, Althea's mother passes away, and she discovers she's a witch. She doesn't believe it, of course. Witches don't exist, but she heads to New Orleans to find her family home and learn all about the whole paranormal community. And she's accused of murder right off the bat, so she has to solve that mystery all while figuring out what is going on with her life. So in book 2, she's there and she is reopening the Coven shop. They had a shop, but it was closed when her mother left. So she's reopening that. And of course, it doesn't even open because there's a murder right away on the night of the special opening. So red beans and of course red beans and rituals. Person is poisoned with red beans. I think we don't know. We're going to find out as you go along in the book. But it's been fun to integrate everything I love about New Orleans, like the food and the culture, but also the fun things too that New Orleans is kind of known for being like spooky and full of vampires and witches. So to combine that and make my own world of witches and werewolves and vampires, but yet in the city I love and know so well. So it's been a great, fun combination.
Nice. I think you're like the fourth person on this podcast who has a book set in New Orleans. It is like
Oh,
we have
oh
each
yeah, you
other.
had Ellen on. Yeah, Ellen
Yeah.
Byron. Yeah,
And Tracy Andrighetti, hers are all set in New Orleans as well.
that's right. Yes, I've seen hers. Yeah, it's a great place to write about because it's familiar to a lot of people. So I think people like to go back to places or read about places they've been to, or and also places they want to be. And I think of New Orleans as a character in itself. I mean, there's just between the music and the food and the sense of history that is there, and just all kinds of people that get along together and um, just cherish how unique New Orleans is. So it makes for a great place and fun. Lots of
Yeah.
fun.
Well, and it's also like the only place I know of where all of the graveyards are above ground because of the swamp.
It is. Yeah, I think Paris might be the only other place that really has it. Yeah, they're amazing. I remember the first time we went into the cemetery, it was in the Garden District, and they're just amazing. And again, it's that sense of history and respect. And the man who gave the tour was telling us all kinds of quirky things too about the cemeteries, and that the mausoleums are usually passed from woman to woman in the family. So he said even though his mother didn't like his wife, she still gave her the keys to the mausoleum because that was tradition. That's what she did. So I was like, I love all those kind of things. And then it's fun to read all the names and see the history of families. And yeah, it's really cool.
Nice. So, all right. So book 2, can
Yeah.
readers pick this up without reading book 1? Like,
You can. I make it, I try to make all my books sort of be a standalone, but to really get a deeper sense of the characters and the stories, I recommend reading them in order, because I think it's important to see characters grow and their stories grow. So I would do it in order.
Yeah, I felt like that's more important, especially with paranormal, because they have special powers. There's a lot of word building that goes into these.
Yeah, I did not realize how much world building it was. I was like, oh, witches, it'll be fun. But coming up with their whole magic system, and I didn't want to take from other systems like Wicca or something. I didn't want to copy that, so I wanted to kind of create my own. But yet, I did so much research on other different witch sub-religion, sub-genres, I guess you'd say. So yeah, it wasn't as easy. Werewolves and vampires are much easier to come up with. We kind of all have that lore. We know about them. But witches, yeah, it's a little tough, but it's fun. It's a lot of research. My husband's gotten used to me having stacks of witch handbooks and voodoo handbooks and all these things.
Well, to get at the lay of the land, how many supernatural characters or types of characters, like werewolves, witches, vampires, like what's in this?
So far, we have witches, vampires, werewolves, fairies, warlocks, and I think that's it for now. Oh, well, then Tasso, he's the talking cat. So not sure where he quite falls in as far as paranormals. So
And can you talk to anyone or just to Althea?
just other witches.
Okay.
So yeah, because Althea's like, I've been talking to cats all my life. He goes, yeah, and they've had to listen to you, but couldn't say anything back. But once she got her witch power, she could talk to them. And Tasso, I guess you call, is her familiar. He's been around since she left New Orleans with her mother when she was 6 years old. And Tasso's like, I remember you as a baby and doing all this. And she's like, how can you be over 40 years old? And he won't tell her yet. So maybe we'll find out one day.
Well, I mean, that's what I'm hoping for, that my cat will live to 40.
Exactly.
He's never going to die. She's going to stay with me forever. So let's talk about her friend Evangeline. So that's her BFF and the sidekick that she has through the book, right?
Yeah, she really is the first one besides Luella, the head of the Coven, who welcomes her back to the city. They grew up as kids. They were good friends, and she really missed her when she left. So she is there with her, and also she's fun, and she is excited to have her friend back. They've really connected, and then she's always willing to help go on these escapades with Althea and help her out. And in Red Beans, Evangeline is accused of murder, so it's Thea who really needs to work on getting her saved. So, but Evangeline's right in there helping out. She's not a what would you call it? Like a wilted flower. She's not just sitting by and letting things happen to her. She's working with Althea to find out what's going on in the paranormal community.
And is she normal, or is she like a vampire, or
she's a witch?
She's a witch.
Yeah, she's a witch. So yeah, Evangeline's a witch, and their coven has a variety of women in different ages and things like that. So, but Thea's glad to have someone her own age and who is willing to teach her a lot about the witch world.
Okay, and it's actually Evangeline's husband that's missing, right?
Yes, in book 1, we learned that he had disappeared and Evangeline couldn't find him. She used all kinds of spells to try to locate him, and she just couldn't. So in book 2, he comes up again, and one subplots is them trying to figure out what really happened to Bryce. And suddenly we're connecting a lot of different dots here in the paranormal world about what's been going on between who's missing, who's died, who's up to no good. So,
and was Bryce a warlock?
No, Bryce is normal. So
Oh, okay.
he, which was one thing, Thea was so surprised to hear that Evangeline is married to a normal person. So she's like, oh, well, it gives me hope, I guess, because she's never married.
Mhm.
But yeah, no, Bryce is a cool guy.
Okay, and so we like Bryce, so we want to find him. He's not like a jerk, and we're glad
Yes.
he's missing.
No, no. I mean, she was so, Evangeline was so surprised when he disappeared because there was no, he was kind of acting odd, but nothing, like she knew he wasn't having an affair. He knew she wasn't doing, stealing money. So she was really, really shocked when he disappeared and would really like to have him back.
Okay, so that's just an ongoing behind the scenes mystery because we don't solve it in this book, right?
No, we do actually. In book
Oh,
2,
you
we're
do?
going to solve
Okay.
Bryce's story.
Okay. All right.
I won't give it away, but yes,
Right.
we're going to
Yeah.
finally solve that.
Okay, good. And then, so the backstory for Althea, can you give us a little bit more about that? Like how she became a witch, how she didn't know, and her mom?
So she doesn't have any memories of her life before 6. She just remembers being in Seattle when she's 6 years old. And her mother's like, no, nothing. You just don't remember. It's no big deal. So when her mother passes away, she's actually a victim of hit and run. When her will comes out, she tells Althea, we own a house in New Orleans. Don't go there. Just sell it or let the trust run it. Just, live your life. Don't go back there. Well, of course, what is she going to do? She's going to go back there,
Right.
especially when Luella, who's the head of the Coven, comes to get her.
Mhm.
So Althea is like, well, I want to know what happened, to me as a child, and why did we live here? Why did we move? So she has a lot of learning to do about her own past and her mother's past because her mother never talked about her past. She just
All
said
right.
it was done and gone.
And so is she excited about becoming a witch, or is she still torn about it, or doesn't like
At
it?
first, at first she doesn't believe it. She thinks they're just these kooky ladies who want to chant some things around her, and she gives in to their ritual, saying, "Fine, if it'll make y'all happy, nothing's going to happen." But when she does regain her witch powers that her mother had blocked, she's a little nervous, a little excited. Um, it's a whole new world for her, but she's not sure quite yet if she wants to stay. Over the next few books, she's going to have to make some decisions about, is this her life or is she going to move on?
And so her witch powers were unlocked when she stepped into New Orleans or when she stepped into the house?
No, actually, they had to do a ritual
Okay.
to unblock her powers. Luella, like I said, is a very strong witch, so she was able to undo the spell that her Fern is Althea's mother's name. Fern had put on her. So she gets them back then, and she's like, I could have had all these powers. It's she it's kind of fun. She gets to talk. They use telepathy, so she's like talking back and forth. She learns to do some of her own spells to make life a little better on herself. So it's scary, I think, to her, but it's also really fun.
Okay, so she can do spells, telepathy. She can talk to her
Mhm.
cat. What other powers, witchy powers, does she have?
She's kind of learning those. She's like I said, since her mother blocked her powers, she's really doesn't remember what she can do. So slowly, bit by bit, she's learning what she can do. Right now, she's discovered that her family can write things in secret that only other family members could read. So she's finding clues and hints about her mother and her family, and what happened. So
Very cool. And so is Evangeline then more powerful than her because she's been practicing longer?
at first she is, but Evangeline or Althea is starting to get stronger and stronger as she practices, and Luella works on training her. But because of the store reopening, she hasn't had as much time to work on her witchcraft. But it appears that she's going to be very strong, stronger than maybe anyone else in the coven.
Okay. And if you were a witch, what superpower would you want to have?
I think making spells for things to get easy. I would love to make a spell where my house was cleaned right away, or my editing was done for me right away. So that would make life easy, and continuous coffee. That would be great too.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Got it. So the Coven Shop and Cafe. So my big question is, what do they serve there?
Sure. So it's called Bewitched Bewitched Bites and Baubbles. That's a mouthful. So it's combination little cafe where they do like baked goods because Evangeline is a really good baker. Like she is known for her cinnamon rolls. So they do all kinds of like pastries, but they do one hot meal a day. And the first one they're doing is red beans and rice, which is your typical Monday dish in New Orleans. It used to be you would make red beans and rice because Monday was laundry day. So the beans could sit on the pot cooking while you're doing all your laundry, and then you'd have dinner ready. So it's a very traditional dish in New Orleans. So they're serving that on the first day. And then the rest of the shop, they sell tarot cards. They do tarot readings as well. This coven is known for their plants. They have a really great green thumb. So they have all kinds of plants that are used in witchcraft and other things. So that candles. Althea wants the shop to be open to non-paranormal people as well as the paranormal people. She's like, New Orleans is a tourist town. People think of witches and things. She's like, let's make money with that as well as serving our community. So, but some of the older witches aren't happy with that. They don't like kitschy witch things like hats and just silly and brooms because they know they don't use brooms.
Right. Okay. And so Althea owns the shop, right?
Well, it's the Coven shop, which technically she does own the house. It's within the Fontenot mansion, which Fontenot is her last name. So technically it is hers, but she wants it to be more of a Coven place, the place for the Coven members to, get jobs, to work, to build up their craft as far as like tarot card reading and talking to spirits, all that kind of stuff. She wants it to be a community place, not just her own.
Oh, okay. So I guess I'm picturing it. She lives above it.
Yeah, it's a big story. So on the first ground is the shop and storage, and then you go back out to the courtyard, and there are some outbuildings, and that's like where their commercial kitchen is. They were the former slave quarters in the back. And then upstairs, you go upstairs, and there's the main room with the living room and kitchen, and then 2 floors of bedrooms.
Okay.
Above that.
All right. And so when she wasn't there, it was just kind of dormant and empty and nobody was using it.
Well, actually, Luella lived there. Luella, the head of the Coven, she stayed in there. She was like, someone had to take care of this place, so she moved in.
Got it.
She's taken care of it for 40 years.
And she's the one that broke her bonds and helped bring out the witchiness and his training. Got it. Okay.
Exactly, yeah.
Awesome. So would this story have been the same if you would put it in Houston? Or Chicago or anything else?
No. I mean, granted, sure, you can have witches everywhere. And, but there's something about New Orleans and the sense of history and witchcraft. Everyone expects it there. It's just sort of a free kind of spirited place. So no one questions, if you're into witchcraft or vampire lore or things like that there. There's a number of witch stores, actually, literally witch stores in the French Quarter. And gosh, I've been on so many tours that talk about ghosts and vampires and things like that. So like I said, I think New Orleans really becomes a character because there's so many places you can go there and learn about the history and think about the paranormal that could be there.
Right. Yeah. And it helped too that, what was that show, that spin-off of the Vampire Diaries that was there?
Oh, the original Vampire.
The original. Yeah. That was
I watched that during COVID. Yes.
Yeah.
Because it was great because I would watch it and go, that's New Orleans. No, that's not New Orleans. I knew where they were filming a lot of it. So.
All right. Cool. And so how much is Althea, our main character, like you?
Well, she does love coffee. That much. And she's interested in everything and everyone. She really is. She's one of these people who is always looking for family, I think, and looking to make friendships and good, and it's hard to do that when her mother, was very closed. So, maybe in a way, I like finding communities. I like building communities wherever I've lived because I've lived all across the country back and forth. And whether I've made friends through my kids or through a job or, through my writing community, I've always been able to meet really great people who I consider family. So I think Althea and I are like in that way.
Right. Very cool. And so you literally just woke up during COVID and you're like, I'm going to be an author. Like, had you thought about it before? Or like?
No, I was working on my book. So I have a wonderful critique group that I met through our art here. And there was 4 of us. And one of my friends was like, you need to publish your book, because I've been bringing it to critique group, and she's like, the book's done, you're ready. You either need to, look for an agent or just publish it yourself. And she had done self-publishing in romance, so she walked me through everything. So I set the published date for March 8th, which is my birthday. I set it on my birthday, and then a few days later, we weren't going anywhere. Especially here in Washington, everything really closed. But in a way, like I said, I was able to get the second book out pretty quickly because had already started it beforehand, and then we were home. So, but it made it hard because I couldn't go to New Orleans to do my research. So I was, very sad.
Yeah, that's right. That's the exact time when, like, I remember February being like, I don't know what this COVID thing is. Probably isn't anything. And then all of a sudden everything shut down.
Yeah, March 12th was the last day of in-person school for my children. So I always remember that because I'm like, oh God, you're home. Oh no, I have to teach. No.
So, well, what are your writing plans for 2024?
So right now, like I said, the second book, Red Beans and Ritual, will be out on April 30th. Okay. And then I'm working on the 7th book called Happy Homicide. That's in the French Quarter Mysteries with Samantha, who's the main character there. And that comes out on December 27th. So it'll be 3 books this year. I was hoping for 4, but I realized I kind of need a little more time to work on things. So I'm going to do that. But I love both series so much, so I'm planning to continue both series. And then, like I said, I'm working on a spin-off series of the French Quarter Mysteries. And that series, I have a character, Ruby Virtue, who is a cranky psychic who lives next door to Sammy. She's such a great character, and my readers have fallen in love with her because she's just so out there. So I want to do a spin-off with her and her potential love interest. We don't know if they're really going to date. And then her daughter Verity. So I think the 3 of them are going to be in a spin-off. So. But
it's just basically New Orleans all the way.
New Orleans all the way. I love the place, and I get to write off my trips there as research for my books, so it works out well. But I do have some ideas of like some psychological thrillers I would like to write, and they would be based actually more in the Pacific Northwest where I live. I think maybe it's those cold, snowy winters that have made me go,
that make you crazy.
Yeah, psychological thriller, let's do it.
So I have the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah. One day I'll get to those, but right now everything's pretty New Orleans centric.
Okay. And so if readers want to connect with you, where can they find you online?
I have my website is jenpittsauthor.com, and then Facebook, I have a Facebook page, Jen Pitts Mystery Writer, and I am on there every day, and my readers are on there with me. I post a lot of cat photos, a lot of coffee memes, and a lot of New Orleans pictures. So if you're into any of that, find me there on Facebook. I'm on Instagram as well. And then all my books are on Amazon. They're there, paperback and ebook. And Kindle Unlimited, of course.
All right. Very cool. Well, thank you so much for joining today and telling us more about your book, which comes out April 30th. So end of the month.
Yes. It'll be there.